Hello friends, it's Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for choosing to click on this tutorial. I hope that you have your machine and your yarn ready and that you are looking forward to making a beautiful beanie together with me. So I will explain to you very shortly what materials you're going to need or what I am using, and we'll get started on it. But I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of my community. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to seeing your finished beanies in my Facebook group. The link will be down in the description box below. Once again, friends, thank you so much for joining me on this knitting machine journey that I'm on. I am really getting used to my flatbed machines, and I'm starting to really love them. I decided that I was going to make a beanie that has a patterned brim and fits snug to my head. So I chose a yarn that I like, and it is Luv Baby Georga yarn. I get this from Walmart. It is a light 3. It's probably about the thickest yarn that you can use on this particular gauge machine. And it works really well. I'm going to use 2 colors, white, and I loved this color when I saw it. There was a baby mint one there as well, but I thought, no, I don't want a baby color. I want something that's very happy looking, but not baby-ish. And so this is the one I chose. And I'll put the color name of this down in the description box below because I'm not sure what the name is offhand. They do have a light mint there, but this is a little shade darker. It's a teal, I think. So anyways, that's the yarn choice that I have decided to use. And I'm going to use patterning card number 2 for this particular project. And so I'm going to set that aside just for now. And we're going to we're going to look at our carriage, and then I'll explain to you how I figured out my needle counts and my row counts. All right. So for our carriage, we're going to make sure that it's on stockinette. So put your little lever there on stockinette. I'm going to knit my waist yarn, which we're going to need. I'm going to knit that on 10 tension. So you can place that on the number 10. You do not need your brushes. Make sure those are up. Your side levers here. There's a triangle at the back and a circle at the front. Put them on the circle. However, you can do stockinette when they're on the triangle as well, but the manual tells you to have it on the circle, so I always flip it there. If it's on the triangle and your patterning card is off, it still works. So anyways, we're going to put them on the circle, and we're going to make sure our Russell levers are on the Roman numeral 2 position. If they're on 1, that's for when you're needing your needles to be on hold, and we don't need that for this project. So they will stay on 2. And we're going to push that aside. So number 10, stockinette, levers to the front on the 0, Russell levers in 2 position. Brushes up, we don't need them. Let's push that aside. I set up my card reader right away, whether if I'm doing patterning much into the project, or you know, if you're starting with patterning like we are going to be doing, we need to have it set up right away. But even if I'm doing lots of stockinette rows and then I do my patterning, I always set up my card right away anyways, because the first 2 passes of our carriage will read that card, and then it'll just be ready for us. So we're going to take pattern card number 2 with the A arrow pointing down. I'm going to pop that into the pattern reading slot. This is on the 0, which means it's shut off. I have to put it on the triangle in order to rotate this down. Now it's going to pick it up, and we're going to rotate it all the way down till the back comes up over the front, just like that. Then we're going to take our 2 little clips, and we're going to fasten this. So bend this back one down to the front there, but put the front piece over top, because if you do the back piece over top, when it gets to this point where it gets fed into the feeder, this lip is going to catch on there. So that has to be to the back. Now you might say, well, that's obvious, but you know what? When I first started, it wasn't obvious, and I did it wrong. So I thought maybe it'll help somebody. So then you put it through those two little holes there, and you line it up. And if it's correct, you will see that your numbers line up: 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. If they don't line up, you know that you've put it in the wrong slot. And you're going to close that off. And you're going to go ahead and put your clip on the other side as well. In this case, we need our patterning card almost right away, so that's why we're going to set it up. Now, if you look at this card, you can see all these red lines here. Our manual tells us that this top red line is line E, and that's where we need to set up our, we need to line up that top red line with our feeder there. When I first started, I lined up number 1. Like I would put that down one more row and that's where I would have it. But the patterning card says to put it so that this, our manual says that this top red line here has to be in line with this edge of our feeder here, and that sets it up because I believe that our card gets read 5 rows down. All right, so that's where we're going to line that up. And so number 60 will be showing. I'm going to flick that off. All right, because we don't need that quite yet. Having put it off, now when we're knitting our first 2 rows, these drums will read this card. All right, so it's all ready to go. How I figured out how many needles I need is I did a gauge swatch over 40 needles and 40 rows. And what I determined by that swatch is that I get 18 rows for 2 inches, and I get 2 inches over 14 needles. The average adult head, teenage head, is a circumference of 21.5 to 23, somewhere in there. Let's say 22 is our average circumference of our head. And so we want to make our brim 2 inches, 1.5 to 2. Sometimes if you want it even snugger, go less, but on average 2 inches less than the circumference of your head, so that it can stretch and fit you nice and snug. So I'm going to do a circumference of 20 inches. So if I have determined that 14 needles is 2 inches, if I multiply that by 10, I get 140 needles for 20 inches. Okay, so that's how I determined how many needles I need for my particular beanie. So we're gonna work on that first, and then we'll talk about length. I'm going to pull out 140 needles, except for, actually I'm gonna pull out 141. I'm gonna pull out 71 on this side, 71 on the right side of 0, and 70 on the left. And the reason being is because I want my end needles to knit. When we're doing our cast on, we're going to push back every second needle. And so I'm going to start, you're not going to be able to see this in the camera, but I'm going to put my tool over on the second needle, so needle 69 on the left, and I'm going to push every second needle back. You'll see it in just 1 second. So I put my pusher on the second needle because I wanted number 70 to be in work position. So I put my pusher on needle, this end one, on needle 69 on the left, and then I pushed every second needle back, and I'm coming down the row just like this, pushing every second needle back, and that gives me needle 71 in work position. If I didn't have 70 out, then number 70 would be out of work, and essentially I'm only casting on to 69, so I'd rather cast on to 71. So that's why I pulled out an extra one on this one. I want my 2 end needles to be in work position. I'm going to take my carriage and I'm going to bring it across, and back. That lined up all those needles in B position, and guess what? It also read our card reader. So it's all set now. The patterning card drums are all set for the pattern there, but we are going to now take our waste yarn. So you want to choose color that's different from your working yarn so you can see your stitches when we hang our hem. So go grab a color that is different from your project yarn. So I have chosen a red, and I'm going to put a clip on that. I'm going to add it to my yarn guide on my carriage there, and we're going to zip it across 1 row. There we go. Push all those needles back with your thumb just a little bit, and that'll help make these loops all even and a little bit looser. I'm going to take my weights and I'm going to hang those on the loops. I have 3 of this particular one. So I'm going to make sure that the end loops on both sides are caught, and then I'm going to put one in the center here. I'm going to take my little weights and I'm going to add them. Just to give it a little extra weight. Now, you can also add weights in between in this section here that's missing them if you like. I have some of these small ones. I could probably add those there as well, if you like. And then that'll make it completely even. All your stitches are pretty much caught. That just helps to make it for a more even knit, but this is just our waist yarn, so we're good. And we're going to take our back needles that we pushed out of work and we're going to push them into work. So we're going to bring those up in line with the other ones into B position. Just like that, making sure you don't go past number 70 on the left or 71 on the right. From there, I'm going to bring my carriage back to the right side. It's a little difficult when you got your weights all on there, but there we go. And I'm going to push out all my needles. So I'm going to hold my finger against the bed there to hold those stitches back. And I'm going to push out all my needles. I'm going to just do this for this particular row. I won't do the whole thing for the next row, but let's just get those out. It just helps your needles to knit better. Gives you, sets you up for success. I'm going to go back. And then I'm just going to pull out 3 on either side, 3 or 4, and go back. And then you're going to knit as many rows of waist yarn as you're comfortable with, making sure that your carriage stays on the left when you're done. So I'm going to do 2 more. There we go. So I have my waist yarn ready. Now it's on the left because I'm going to add 1 row of ravel cord so that when I pull that line out later, this whole section of waist yarn will fall off. But we also need that to be a different color from our working yarn as well. So I'm just going to stick with the same color. Now, if you have nylon ravel cords, those are perfect. And when I was given these machines, I was given 3 or 4 ravel cords as well, but those cords were old and whenever I pull them out, they're breaking. So I need to find them somewhere. If you know where I can find nylon ravel cords for my machines, my standard gauge and my bulky, please let me know. And if, like, I've looked on Amazon as well, and I don't know, I'm just not sure what ones are the best because they don't have the names under ravel cord. They just have nylon beading cord and stuff. So if you know a place where I can buy standard gauge ravel cord and bulky, please let me know in the comments. I would appreciate that very much. I've been looking and I just can't find ones that I think are suitable. And I'm from Canada, if that makes a difference. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to also move my camera. Where is my scissors? There we go. I actually moved my camera. I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to pull that tail through. And we're going to place a clip on it just to hold it down while we do the next part. I'm going to use this same yarn as my ravel cord. Now, for me to know which strand is the ravel cord, I'm just going to put a little knot in there just like that. And so then when it comes time to pull the cord, I know which one to pull just based on the knot. So I'm going to put a clip in there, put that little loop right over the clip. I'm going to put it back into my yarn feeder just like that. We're going to do 1 row, just 1. Oops, my brush went down again. I knocked it with my finger. Having completed 1 row, I'm going to cut that yarn. I can remove that right out of my tensioners there and get it out of the way. I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to, you can also put a little knot on that side too if you want to. Depends what side you pull your ravel cord from after. So this is acting as my ravel cord. Let's put a clip on that so that it just holds it nice and tight as we knit the next row. So now we have that part set up. We have our waist yarn, we have our ravel cord. Now we get to have fun with the patterning. So what we're going to do, So we're going to take our carriage and we are going to feed our main yarn color. So whatever you want the main body of your beanie to be, that's what you're going to feed into the yarn feeder. We're going to do 2 rows before we do our patterning, only because we want to start our project with just solid rows. Now let me just fix this yarn. I've got both colors of yarn in my tensioner up above here, and both of them are set at 7. So the mass tension is 7. I'm going to do 1 row on tension 10, just in stockinette. And when I get to the left side, I'm not going to move my camera to show you, but when I get to the left side, I'm going to change that to 8. So 1 row, tension 9, set your row counter back to 0. Let's get the first 2 rows done, then I'll explain to you how many rows we're going to do and how I figured it out. But tension 10, 1 row. I'm now changing that to tension 8, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to pull out the 3 needles on the end just to make it a little bit easier to grab. And I'm going to come back. That's row 2. And if we would have just set up our punch card after we did our waste yarn, then those 2 rows would have read it, but we were ahead of the game and we did it sooner. So yes. All right. So we've knit 2 rows. What my gauge swatch told me was that I get 18 rows for 2 inches, correct? All right. So we want to do a fold up brim, and I want that brim to be 3 inches wide. So if I want a 3-inch wide brim, I have to do 6 inches because I'm going to fold it up, correct? All right. So 6 inches of this plain yarn will be my brim, but I want it to be a patterned brim. So we're going to now add we've done the first 2 just to get it started. We're going to add our second color for our patterning card, and then we're going to do the math for the rows. But that is essentially what we're working on. The 6 inches for the fold up brim. I'm going to clip that. I'm going to add it into that second slot. There's a number 2 there for my yarn. We're going to take our lever, flip it over to Fair Isle patterning on our carriage, just like that. You're going to take your side levers, the back ones, and you're going to put them on the triangle on both sides. Okay, so we've got our Fair Isle. We've now got tension 8 on the dial. We've got our side levers back to the triangle, and we need to put our patterning card on. So that's up to the triangle there as well. So we are ready to add our second yarn strand. So what we need to know now is that we want a total of 6 inches, all right? Because when we fold it up, that's going to be 3. So 18 rows is 2 inches. If I need 6 inches, 18 times 3, because 2 inches times 3 is 6 inches, so 18 stitches, or 18 rows times 3 is what? 18 times 3 is, put it in the comments quick, 54 rows. So we need to do 54 rows in total. We've already got 2 rows done in our plane. So we're going to do 52 rows of patterning. I like to pull out those end needles. I am just interrupting this tutorial with a correction. When you are knitting in the Fair Isle patterning, do not pull out your end needles, which is what I instruct you to do in the next clip. Do not pull them out because you will see that the patterning will not knit on those needles that you place into D position. Thank you so much to my mentor Jean from the knitting club I go to, who instructed me on that and pointed that out for me. I never noticed it until she saw it. So just an apologies to you for leading you astray, but just make sure you don't pull out your needles into D position when you are knitting in Fair Isle. So I'm going to just pull that back a little bit since we haven't cut the needles. I'm going to pull out those end needles on both sides, and we're going to knit across. And because we have our patterning card on, our levers are on patterning, our lever at the top of our carriage is on Fair Isle, we are ready to go across. So I'm going to slowly go across, crossing my fingers that that's going to pick it up, and it did. So there we go. Our card advanced 1 row. We have our first row of patterning done. Yay! So we're going to keep going. I'm going to just pull that back a little bit. I'm going to pull out my end. 4 or 5 needles, whatever your fingers grab, just like that. And we're going to go back. I like to pull the needles out for the first few rows anyway. So there we go. Our card advanced, our counter advanced, and we have success. Yay. I'm going to pull these out again. 4 and 4. You can go right across the whole bed if you want, but I don't find that I'm needing to. And I just pull up on these to make sure that the tension is tight enough when I start. I don't give it lots of extra tension. I just make sure that it's feeding properly out of my mass tensioner there. All right, so oops, and it wasn't because my little thing came out. I felt that. Sorry, I have a problem here with my tension rod. There we go, fixed, no harm done. I have 5 rows on my counter. I'm gonna pull out my needles on the ends. That's the last time I need to do that. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna keep going back and forth. We determined I need 54 rows for my brim. So I'm gonna keep going back and forth for 54 rows. I'm gonna move up my weights. I could probably move them up now. I usually move them up every 20 rows or so. This is a little premature, but rather than go off and then come back on. When I move my weights up, I always pull out the end needles. Always, always, always. It's just a habit. Put that in there. These 2 colors are going to be so pretty together. Put that in there. I don't suppose Natalie is watching, but Natalie is in my knit club. She wears the most beautiful beanies made out of oxen yarn. She lived, where did she live? Nunavut? I can't remember. But anyway, she lived somewhere way north. And she makes beanies out of beautiful, beautiful yarn. And she wore a beanie not long ago that was close to her head, but that had a patterned brim. And I thought, I'm gonna make that. And that's what this is. Now, this is not the yarn that she uses, but I'll actually put the link to her yarn down in the description box below, because she does have a website for her yarn and it's absolutely beautiful. So I will link that down below, and you can go have a look for yourself. But so this beanie is nothing like the ones that she makes, but it is my version. Because she wore a beautiful one with a patterned brim and solid top, and that's what we're doing here. So I'm going to keep going till I have 54 rows. So every time I move up my weights, I pull out my end needles to start the first row. All right, have fun, friends. I'll see you at row 54. I have made it to row 54, so I'm going to shut off my patterning card, put my levers back into the center, into 0, or to the front on the 0. I'm going to put my lever on stockinette, and we are going to leave it there for now. We're going to remove our weights, set those aside because I'm going to grab them again. And we're going to hang our hem. All the clips that you have hanging on your yarn tails, you can remove now because they've served their purpose. There we go. We have our weights all removed, and I've got my transfer tool here. And so I'm going to start picking up my stitches. You can now see why waste yarn in a different color is important, because we need to find these loops here. My first ones here are a little bit tight, but I'm going to persevere, of course. So here's the first one. I'm going to pick it up. I'm actually going to take 2 because they are tight. Once I put the first one on, I'm gonna miss that second one, I think. So I'm gonna just pick up 2 here, trying to remain in the camera. And I'm going to attach those to the first 2 needles. So 71 and 70, I'm gonna hook those needles and place them on. Don't miss this next one that's hiding here, or your row count will be off, or your needle count will be off, but also when you take off your waste yarn, that row that's attached to that loop will drop. So I'm going to take that one and put it on there. And now it's clear sailing. The first 2 or 3 are the hardest to find. And I'm going to get under there, hook that needle and bring it through. Find the next one. Hook that needle and bring it through. You can use the 2-pronger if you like. I find the one easier. These are pretty tight, and I used number 10 tension too, so it's going to take me a little bit here. And put it on. And there we go. But you'll get in the groove. And the one thing that I would encourage you to do is after every 10 needles or so, take a look at your needle bed and see if any of these little prongs are still back here, because if they are, that means you missed a needle. And trust me, it's very easy to do on the standard gauge. It's easy to get 15, 20, 30 needles in and then look back and say, oh shoot, I missed one. So if they're pulled to the front, you know you worked it. So I'm going to go down to the other end all the way, picking up every loop, making sure I don't miss one, because again, friends, if you miss one, once you take your waste yarn off, that row will start to unravel. And that would be sad. All right, so I'm going to continue on down the row, pushing those back as I go. And I'm going to hang all of these loops onto the corresponding needles until I get all 141 stitches hung. All right, so we have our hem hung and it looks beautiful. I went ahead and I cut the white yarn strand and removed that and got it out of the way. So now we just have a single strand of yarn, our main color in our carriage. So just to revisit this, we have our side levers at the 0. Our Russell levers, we haven't touched the whole project, they stay on 2. Brushes are up. We moved our cam lever back to stockinette, just like that, leaving my tension on. I'm going to do the first row in 10 actually. Because this is got a double loops there, I'm going to do just 1 row on 10. And once I get to the left side, I'm going to move it back to 8. We shut off our patterning card. So now when I knit across, it should knit 1 row of stockinette. I always get nervous on this part because I have had it where it's fallen off, but I think it's because I obviously didn't change something. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to knit 1 row of stockinette. All right, that worked great. So now I'm going to hang my weights. I'll hang them on the waste yarn, and then I'll explain to you how many rows we're going to do. Now, truth be told, I, on camera, tried to take this waste yarn off with you while it was still on the machine, and it got all tight and a little bit knotted because I think that the red was snagged in the green. So I am going to remove the rest. I'm going to remove it when I get it off the machine. So I didn't want to even bother showing you that just because I think you should wait till you get it off the machine. So there we go. I've added my weights. I'm going to change my tension back to 8, and I'm going to come back 1 more row for my second row, and then I'll explain to you the row counts. There we go. All right. So we know that 18 rows is 2 inches, right? Our brim, we knit that 6 inches, but then we folded it up so it is 3. I want my beanie to be 9 inches because I want it to be snug to my head. If you want it to be longer, then you figure it out based on the length that you want it and the tension swatch that either you got from your yarn, or if you're using a 3-weight light, yarn like mine, you can, and the same tension, it'll be very close. You can just use the numbers that I have. So I got 18 inches, or 18 rows is 2 inches. If this is now 3 inches, I want another 6 inches. So 6 inches, simple, because it's the same as this. 6 times, 2 inches is 18 rows, 6 inches will be 54 rows. So I have reset my counter to 0. I've done 2 rows now. I'm going to go back and forth just in plain stockinette till I have 54 rows. And that's going to give me a beanie that is snug to my head. Again, if you want it longer, then by all means, make it as long as you want it. But I'm going to go for 54 more rows, and that should give me a beanie that is relatively close to 9 inches, okay? Now, generally, I will move my weights up every 15, 20 rows just for safekeeping, but I went till row 30 because it was knitting so well. I thought, oh, I'm going to keep going. But I'm going to take these off now and I'm going to move them up. Just like that. Very, very fast beanie to make. You can whip off a lot of them, put them in your craft sales. Add a pom-pom if you want. We'll see when I get it off if I decide to do that. My initial thoughts are that I don't want a pom-pom, but we'll see. I'll show you both ways, with or without. So my weights are moved up. When I move my weights up, I always pull out a few needles on either side just to help me get started. And I'm going to keep going. So 54 rows. Before I take it off the machine, I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to hold the 0 down at the bottom there. I'm just going to get an idea. It is exactly 9 inches. Exactly. So I'm going to pull it in at the top with a drawstring, and that's going to make it even a little tiny bit shorter, but based on the last one that I made as my example, I still like it that length. So I'm going to remove my weights just so there's no tugging on it as I remove it. There we go. And we're going to remove with the, once I pull that, those little holes will disappear. But we're going to remove it with our double-eyed needle. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a darning needle and that will work great. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a yarn tail that's 2 times the length of my piece. I can take that out this way, I guess. Sometimes it doesn't want to, so there we go. It's 2 times the length of my piece. Close enough. Hang that up. And we are going to remove this. Oh, the static. My goodness, look at that. I should go get a fabric softener and just take it over the strand here, but we're good. So with the double-eyed needle, all we got to do is we have to pick up the hook of that needle there. Let me just see if I'm in the camera. Yep. And go back and pop it onto your needle, pull through. And the next one. I help those little latches close because this yarn likes to split. And if I don't help the latch close, then it will split and give me some grief. Except for that one I didn't do, and it didn't split. But if you're finding that your yarn is splitting, then just do that. Open your latch and close it by hand. But I'm gonna go get a fabric sheet because this is like, look at that, it's just crazy. And I'm just gonna run it over the strand of my yarn tail just so that I don't have so much difficulty. There we go, just a little piece. We'll do the trick. And then across the top of the edge there. And that should make a little bit of a difference and help me Now, if you don't have a double-eyed needle like this, all you got to do is take a darning needle and then you put it, you can bring this out, put it through the loop underneath there, just like that, and then pull your needle back. Just like that. So you don't have to have one of these little double-eyed needle things, but they are nice to have. Open your latches, that's also helpful. All these little things, eh? And pull through. See, I didn't close the latch manually, and it snagged a little bit. It's just the nature of this yarn. And friends, that's what you're going to do all the way across your piece. And once this little corner starts to get in your way, flip it under and pop a little clip on that, and it will help to hold it out of your way as well. Simple little tricks, but they make a difference to help your experience be a little bit more fun for you. Close that, pull it off. So go ahead, remove all your stitches from your machine, and when you are finished, I will meet you at my craft table where we will seam it up together. You know, one more little tip that I thought I would tell you is if you want to put your yarn around the gate peg as you pull through, then it will hold your piece on the machine as you work it off. So I'm going to go around that gate peg, and then that loop holds my piece on and it doesn't fall down there, but whichever way you're most comfortable. It's just another way of doing it. And there we go, around the gate peg, and it's holding it in place, and then all you have to do is lift it off later. Okay, so I thought I should share that little technique with you as well. Around the gate peg, pull through, around the gate peg, pull through, and you see it's holding it there. I then just have a hard time seeing which is the next needle, but all these ones go back, so you just have to take a little second glance. You might like that better. Actually makes more sense to do it that way. Oops. And there we go. All right, friends, continue all the way down, choosing whichever method you prefer, what works best for you, and I'll meet you when I have it off the machine. Here we go. We have our piece off the machine. We're going to give it a little bit of a stretch. Then the first thing we're going to do is get rid of that crazy waste yarn that gave me some hassle on the machine. But it looks short because it is, but it's going to fit. It's going to be beautiful. And I'm going to see if I can pull this out. Now, honestly, if it was nylon ravel cord, it would have come out with no problem. But because it's not, it's giving me grief. So I'm gonna pull it till it breaks and then pull it off. See if that first strand came out, but this is probably what was causing the problem. You see how that was snagged on the green stitch? And here too. So that is the reason why I had a hard time. But you get the idea. So now, if I pull, I don't know which one it was now, which was the actual ravel cord and which one wasn't. So I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way and unpick this till it's off, because I don't want to ruin my piece. But if you had the ravel cord in and you just pulled it off, this whole thing would have come with it, and you wouldn't have had to do this. But in the event that you don't, and you're like me, then I want to leave this on the video so you can see it's not something to panic about. You just do what you got to do to get it off. Right? Now, some people would redo this so that they could give you a perfect video showing you a seamless pull out of their ravel cord. But if you follow my channel, you know I'm not like that. If something is happens, it's not right, I want to fix it with you on camera, because if it happens to me, there's a good chance it's going to be happening to you as well. So we're in this together. So I'm just going to unpick that first row all the way down and pull this off. That's all I'm doing. Yarn does not work well as a ravel cord because it snags. Now, if I was to use Caron Simply Soft, but it's too thick for my machine, that has worked in my bulky, but I just really, really got to find myself some ravel cords. So I'm going to go on Amazon after I'm done this project, and I'm going to see what I think is workable. But anyways, I don't want to waste any more camera time on this, so I am going to finish taking this apart, removing this last row of stitch right here, and when I have this off, I'll meet you back. All right, I have it off, and it's looking good. The other side looks great. It's going to be a beautiful little hat. What I want to do next is I want to hide all my ends except for the drawstring end. So if they're long enough and you can use them to sew, that's great, but I prefer to hide them and then take a new piece. But I'm going to just take them all and I'm going to just tie them like this. And now the great thing is that we have this. So I'm going to hide them all in there. I'm going to weave it in just a little bit and hide them all in there, just because when we close that up, you're not going to see it. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of these strands here just to hold it into place. Easiest tail hiding you'll ever do. Just like that. Cut it off. And now they're hidden. All right, so they're hidden, and we're going to sew that closed. But before we do, we're going to grab a piece of yarn that's long enough. This is going to be a little bit difficult because it curls on us, but we're going to persevere through it. You're going to grab a piece of yarn that's the length 1.5 times. We are then going to fold it in half so that the wrong sides are together, right sides are out. And we're going to start seaming it from these inside 2 pieces here. And when we seam it, we're going to come around the inside pieces, and then it'll automatically come around to the outside pieces and up the side. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So our wrong sides are together. You're going to take these inside 2 pieces. First, you're going to take it and you're going to fasten them at the very corner, just like that. Pull that through, literally tie a knot. Tuck that into one of the tubes. Then on these 2 inside halves, you're going to smooth them out, because we're going to find these very tiny, teeny little rows. If you need to go into, like, I'm going to pick up on the very edge here. What I do is I look for the row where the wide part of the stitch is going to the left. So if I rotate this a little bit, it's easier to see here. The wide part of the stitch is going to the left and the point is down here. You want to have it, the stitch facing the same way on both halves. But I'm going to go ahead and pick up the very, very edge stitch here, or row here, which is the same thing. So I'm going to go into the very top stitch. I'm going to pick up that center bar. I'm going to go into the next one, pick up that center bar. So I've picked up 2 bars. We're doing the invisible join or the mattress stitch here. Then I'm going to go over to this one. I'm going to find that same row where the wide part of the stitch is going to the left. I'm going to go into that first one. I'm going to pick up the bar and into the second one, come out the center of that stitch and pick up the bar. Don't pull this really tight because it'll be harder for you to see where you came out. So I came out right here. Because I came out of this stitch, I'm going to go back into it. And I'm going to pick up 1 bar and 2 bars. Very hard to see on a small stitch like this, but you can get the idea. All right. Here's where I'm coming out. I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up 1 and 2. If you cannot see that edge stitch, go ahead and go in 1.5 rows, and you'll get to this next one that's there. It'll make your circumference just a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It won't make a very big difference. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to pick up 1 and 2, just like that, and pull through. I'm going to do several stitches before I pull that tight. Here's where I came out. If you have trouble finding your row, just always look where your strand came out, because where that came out is where you're going to go in, and you're going to pick up 2. Come over here. Where it came out, right here, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to pick up 2. 1, and I can get into there. Yes, I can, because I'll win this war. 2, just like that. And then once you get a section done like that, see it's going zigzag, zigzag, you're going to pull to close, just like that. Do about 5 or 6 stitches. Don't do more than that, because it'll get too tight and it'll snag. The hardest part is once you tighten it is to then find that row, but you can do it. There it is right there. And I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to go into this one, and I am going to pick up 2. I belong to a knit club that I just started last year in Winnipeg. There's only one in all of Winnipeg. And I learned there, this past week, how to attach pieces like this. I could put this on the machine and sew these together with the machine. But I figure with a small piece like this, by the time I hook this side on and then I hook that side on and then do 1 row, I could probably do this faster. But if you are able to join a knit club, you should. It's fun. You meet a lot of new people. And we're going through a course right now, a beginner course. It's an 8 weeks course where they're showing us all kinds of techniques in order of like starting from learning your carriage all the way to whatever. Like last Monday we learned how to do necklines, and it was amazing. I think it's called St. George Knit Club. We meet in a St. George church, so that's probably why it's called that. But yeah, if you're in Winnipeg and you're interested in a group, put a comment in the bottom underneath the video, and I'll get you the information, correct information. All right. But anyways, it's a fun group. It's a small group. I think there's about 15 people, but it's just really beneficial to be involved in something like that when you're learning. And YouTube is your best friend. All right, so I've got that part done. I'm going to come around the corner. See how I'm going to I'll show you. It's beautiful. It makes it look like it's just, a straight row. And that's what the invisible join does, the mattress stitch does. Last week, I think they learned this stitch. I wasn't there in the afternoon. This past Monday, I had a very busy day, but I know how to do it anyway, so it's okay. But anyways, I really appreciate that group. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great people there. Shout out to Susan and Jean who are leading the course that we're taking. I doubt they'll be watching this, but if they are, shout out to you. So I'm going to continue all the way around, picking up 2 and picking up 2, going in where I came out, picking up 2, pulling it tight every 5 or 6 stitches. You don't want to pull it so tight that it gathers. See, look, if I pull it too tight, look how compromised this, like it's ugly. You have to pay attention to details, and you have to pull it tight, but don't pull it so tight that it gathers. You want to just have it nice and beautiful. All right, so you can see I've turned the corner and I'm going to come around. And when I get to the top here, those 2 should line up. And then I just continue down the side all the way up, picking up, and on the solid, you'll see it better. Picking up 2 stitches, except for I'm going to go on this far edge stitch. Picking up 2 on this side, 2 on that side, coming back in where you left, where you went out, picking up a next 2, go all the way up till you get to the top. All right, so you're just going to follow the same thing. Easy peasy, fun. I made it to the top, except for I left one stitch so that I don't get in the way of the drawstring. I'm going to pull that tight, and there's my beautiful seam. Now all I got to do is I'm just going to go to the inside here, and I'm going to just trail this down through that seam just a little bit so I can tie it off. Make a knot. Oops. These are metal wool needles. They come in a pack of 3 different sizes. I will link them in the description box below, and you can order them from Amazon. They are my favorite needles. The best thing since sliced bread. You're going to want to have them. There we go. I've got my knot done. I'm going to hide that and then back up. Don't need to go far. And cut it off. Now what we're going to do is just going to smooth this out. See, there's the back. We're going to take that drawstring that we made when we took our project off the machine. We're going to smooth out the top as we pull tight. Don't pull too tight because, friends, your strength is more than you think, and you can easily snap it, and you don't want to, because that would be very sad. So we're going to pull it as much as we can, and that's as much as I can. So now I'm going to just cut this a little bit shorter. I'm going to place it back on my needle, and I'm going to pick up the top row of stitches. I don't want to force this closed. I'm just going to get under that very top row of stitches. If you need to go get a smaller needle than this, you can do that, but this one should work. So under that top row, just like that. Pick them up a few at a time, pull through. And it reinforces it at the same time, so it's a win-win. If you can get it in there. I think this is the second one in the, no, it's the smallest one. It's just that I'm working with really thin yarn. Generally, I'm using my 4-weight yarn or higher, and this works like a charm in there. I might need to go and find a different needle. You could use your double-eyed needle too, and that would work. But regardless, these are my favorite needles of all time. Like, I just think they are the best. And through. And pull. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Pulling as I go so that I can tighten this top hole. I am going to go get a different needle for this project. I don't want to snag all this. But this one's still a little bit too big for what I want to do. I'm going to use this one. This one has a latch tool on the end of it. All these little things that I have. This one I don't think you can get in Canada or the States. You can get them on the UK site. I know that. So if you're from the UK, you can find these latch hook needles on your Amazon site. I don't think I can get them in Canada or in the States. And they see how much nicer that went. It has a pointier end than those metal wool ones. So the metal wool needle ones that I showed you are awesome for the bigger machines. But for this thin yarn, you need something smaller and pointier. So I am going to continue around. And you need to hold your work closer to your body, not 2 feet away where you're trying to get under the camera. So friends, I'm going to keep going around just like this. Once I get all the way around, I can pull it almost all the way closed. There we go. I got a good stretch there. I just have this to go. And once I get there, I'll have it almost closed, and then I'll be back with you. There you go. I made it all the way around, and I'm going to pull that. I'm going to do just a little bit more, but friends, I'm not going to close it so that the center is completely closed, because I want to have the option of putting a pom-pom in there. You can use a removable faux fur pom-pom or even your own homemade pom-poms and have this closed tight and use a needle to add your pom-pom. But I have what is called pom-kins. They are my favorite thing. If you follow my channel with my circular knitting, you will know what I'm talking about. If you don't, stick with me and I'm going to show you what they are, and I will link them down in the description box below too. I think you can only get those in the States. I'm in Canada, but she sent them to me, so I'm very thankful because they are my favorite. But you can check the site. Maybe by now they are shipping to Canada and other countries as well. I'm not sure. But I'm going to tie this off in a knot. And I left a little hole. The little pumpkins that I'm going to use come with a cinch guide that tells you how wide of a hole to leave open, but I've done it a bazillion times, so I know how many. And I'm going to just hide that knot. I mean, I know how wide to leave it. Put that in there, give that a little tug till that knot goes inside, then take that down to the inside. Just like that. And then I'm going to get underneath those stitches just to hide that end. And that's good enough. All right, there you go. Friends, what a beautiful beanie. It is so soft, this yarn, because it's baby yarn. So nice. But it will hold its shape. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to wear it for a long time. You're going to love it. I know it. You know what? I think that this will make an excellent men's beanie as well. I don't, like, if it was my husband, he wouldn't like the patterning. It would just be solid, maybe solid dark gray and black, or black and dark gray, whatever. But this size would probably be perfect. Maybe you want to add a couple needles for width. We remembered that 14 needles for this particular weight of yarn, 14 needles is 2 inches. So 7 needles will add an extra inch if you need to do that. Or 4 needles for a ½ inch. You do the math and make it bigger or smaller, however you like. But I'm going to show you a little trick. Purchase a man's styrofoam head. I got this one from Hobby Lobby when I was in the States a couple of years ago. I think that's where I got it from. And anyways, when you take your beanies and put them on the man's styrofoam head for a couple hours, overnight, whatever, it stretches and relaxes those fibers, and you will get like a good 1.5 inches, maybe even more of circumference out of it, just because it was on here and stretched. Now I'm going to measure this little head here with this hat on, just so you can see how wide it actually is if it doesn't slide all around. So let me just put that on there. Can somebody please come over and help me? Let's put that there. And bring this around the brim. Look at that. To the zero there, it's 23.5 inches. That is how wide this can be. This will fit like a man's head. When you first take it off your machine, it's going to feel a little snug, but of course, again, it relaxes as it's worn. If you don't have a styrofoam head, put it on your own and walk around for a while. It will relax the fibers. But isn't that beautiful? Like, it's an amazing beanie. Let's take it off. And I will show you the pumpkins. When you wear it without a pom-pom, nobody will notice that little opening at the top. Trust me, they will not notice. Now, the pumpkins that I love are these. They come with a cinch guide that tells you how wide to leave this open. You just put it inside of there and tie it and tighten around it. But I've done this a bazillion times, so I don't need it anymore. But what you do is you take your pom-pom, and I'm going to show you it with a white one, but you quite literally take the elastic of your pom-pom and you wrap it around your pom-kin. That's one side. You can do it all at one time, but this is a jumbo pom-pom and the fur is getting in my way. Where are we here? There it is. And then you can wrap the other one. And you push that into the center. And you got a bendy pumpkin, just like that. And it springs open. It's a heavy plastic that springs open. And so you can choose whatever color pumpkin pom-pom you like. I'm going to go with this white one. Always shake the heck out of it before you display. And look at the difference. Like this one was all matted up, and look at the difference in pom-poms. Sometimes people will post their beanies in groups that they've made, and they'll take the pom-pom out of the plastic bag or the bin that they were in. I get a kick out of it actually. And they'll just stick it on the hat and show it like that. It takes 10 or 15 seconds to shake the heck out of it and make it beautiful. Or take a blow dryer and blow dry it on high heat for 15 seconds. Never sell a beanie with a pom-pom that you have not fluffed out, because I'm telling you, attention to detail is everything, you guys. And if you're in craft shows, fluff out your pom-poms before you display your beanies. Please do it. And I'm gonna pop that in there just like that. And look what it does. It just springs open. And you have a beautiful pom-pom on your beanie. Easy to remove. Kids can do it. Squeeze it together on the inside and pop it out. Just like that. Squeeze it. I'm not left-handed, so I have to do it the other way. Squeeze it with your right hand. If you're right-handed, pop it in there. Maybe you're ambidextrous. You can do it with both, but I'm not. And there you go. You can use yarn pom-poms for this. All you got to do is, with your 2 strands, tie them around, one in one direction, one in the other direction, tie a firm knot and cut it off, and you have a removable pom-pom. It works like a charm. I think I might have one. Let me grab it. Of course I do. And honestly, that wasn't planned. I've had this for like probably a year. It's in my pom-pom bin. But I'm going to pull this one out because it doesn't have to be faux fur. Yarn pom-poms are beautiful. You use both of these colors or one of each. Make a green one, make a white one, make a white and green one. And you can switch them out at your leisure. And there you go. There's a yarn pom-pom. How pretty. Well, there it is. I just absolutely am thrilled with how it turned out. I love it. It fits perfectly, and I'm going to enjoy wearing it. And you know what? I know I'm going to probably make more of these as gifts because it really is that pretty. Friends, if you make one, please post it in my Facebook group so that I can see your finished projects. I would be so encouraged by that. That'd be awesome. And I would love it if you would post in other flatbed knitting machine groups as well. But when you do, please share the link. It would be just an excellent way for you to help support my channel by promoting it that way in other groups. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Take care, friends. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.